So we started this saying we don't have time to make bread, we want bread, and how can we make it? We were going to put it in this loaf pan. But then we decided that we didn't have enough flour, so we added too much flour. And then we decided it was too dry, so we put in more water. And we were impatient on the proofing, so we added more yeast. And now we have way too much dough. Clearly, this is way more than this. So what are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little fun. Now, sometimes friends visit and they say, how come you always get it right? Well, I don't. I make it right. Let's say I made this mistake. They don't know that. So this is way more than that. So I'll make my loaf and then I'll do something else. So we're going to use a bowl with just rolled oats. Same thing as you would use for your oatmeal or your porridge. And then this is just regular milk. And then I need a brush. I use a brush with natural bristles and I only use it in the kitchen. Then I'm going to use a skillet and I'm going to use a sheet pan with parchment paper on it. So we will get 3 breads out of this mistake and then we can freeze it. So let's wait till the oven is hot and I'll be right back. Okay, let's make the bread. Let's put a little flour out here. And as you can tell, I'm going right on the clean countertop. Here we are. 1. And it came out pretty nicely in one big block. I'm just going to flour this up. And it's not going to be super sticky, so I don't have to go too crazy with this. Because I made way too much bread, obviously. I'm just going to pull this out a little. And 1, 2, let's call it 3. So 1. And so I've got a big one here, and then 2 smaller ones. So let me grab my loaf pan. Yeah, kind of. Good enough. So what I want to do is, if you want the bubbles to come up, you just take the bread, put your hand here, fold it, press it down, just with the heel of your hand, just press it down. Take it here, fold it, press it down. Take it here, fold it, press it down. Basically just fold it any which way, it doesn't matter. But fold it in 2, press it down. If you fold it once this way, then the next time you won't fold it that way or that way, it doesn't matter. This way, that way. You just don't want to do this way and this way again, or this way and then that way. You want to kind of turn, mix it up. Just mix it up. If you don't know, then you just go flat, 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 fold, hit, 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 toss randomly, turn around, flat, hit again, and you'll get there. So now I'm just going to roll it out, stretch it out. But that looks about right, I would say. It doesn't really matter. If you put too much, it'll just puff up, and that's perfectly okay. So something that has always worked well for me for non-stick is just to put a little cornmeal in here. If you don't have cornmeal, you can just put in flour. You can put in cooking spray. If you feel like it, you can drop a little butter in there. Doesn't really matter. So here we go. Bloop. Sorry. And here we go. Bloop. There we go. Got a little bread. Just going to let it help it rise a little. So I'm just going to cut some holes in this thing. And here's the loaf we wanted to make originally. So we now have our excess guys here. So let me start with the smaller one. So that one I will just roll out. And if you've never done this before, this is just like Play-Doh. So no need to worry about this. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to grab my sheet pan with parchment paper. I'm going to take my little loaf here. You can see it's not super pretty. I still have creases and all. And now I take a clean pair of scissors. I use these only for the kitchen. And I'm going to come at about 45 degrees here. And I go nearly to the bottom, like really, really far down. Okay. And cut. Move it out. And nearly all the way down. Cut. Move it the other way. Cut. Move it here. Cut. Move it here. Okay. Oops. This is a big one. Cut. Move it here. You can be creative. You can do snip and then cut. Snip. Cut. You'll see what happens when this comes out. Cut. And cut. And then maybe just the last one. Okay. This in French is called an épi. And it just looks nice. They're easy to break off. So this is now where the milk and the brush come in. You see what happens. When you put milk on bread, you don't need a lot. There's sugar in milk, and it'll make things go brown. So on the first loaf, I didn't put anything, as you saw. The loaf pan. On this one, I'll put the milk. And the third one, well, you're about to find out. So here we go. Here's the épi, 45 degrees, nearly all the way down, and then flip them out. And then we put in a couple of other spikes on the way up so you can see what happens. So let's put that aside, and now we're going to do the last one. As you can tell, the scissors are nearby, so I think you know what's coming. I'm going to take this last one, and this time I'm going to take some oats out of the bowl. Just grab some, and I'm just going to lie the whole bread into it. Bring them back, and we're going to give this one to, this is very good after a frustrating day. You need to take out your aggressions. Don't take it out on the dog. Don't take it out on anyone around you. Just rotate. Just push these oats in like you mean it. All right? And some will go in, some won't. That's perfectly fine. Just going to have these all embedded in there. Okay, and now you can see I've got my oated bread. Pop them up. So now I'm gonna just press it out and grab it in the middle here. And this might be a little sticky because I didn't put flour. And I'm gonna just poke a hole, like I want to make a donut or a bagel. Although that's not how you make a donut or a bagel. All right, let's try to finish this. Pull out the ring. I'm going to make a fairly large ring. I want it to be nearly the size. I want it to be smaller than the skillet that I have, but I don't want it to be a bagel either. No hard feelings for bagels. Love bagels. But we want something a little different. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, that'll work. Has to work, right? So, same deal, but this time 45 degrees near the bottom, and we're always going to move them out. 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 Now things become interesting. Normally you would turn the pan. Here comes the left-handed cut for the camera. Out, out. And the last one, out. Now on this one, so this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like. Okay. So we're going to take a few more oats and just sprinkle them over the top. You'll notice that inside here, I also have some parchment paper. This is a cast iron skillet. I don't really need the parchment paper, but it'll make cleanup and everything a lot easier when we're done. So I moved these guys all out, which is why I needed it smaller in the first place. And now we're going to put the loaf pan, the appétit, and the crown appétit in the oven. And my light just went out, so I guess this is what I'm going to have to do. So here we go. We have our loaf pan here on top, the one we initially wanted to do. And then out of the excess, we made an appétit down here. And then the oatmeal appétit, which you will note is in the skillet, and I have put the lid on. And down here, I have the water. All right, let's close this. The water is because in this pan here, the humidity stays in the skillet. Having the humidity in the rest of the oven will help with the crust on the bread and a little bit with the rise. So we're going to leave this for about 25 minutes for the appétit and about 40 minutes for the loaf pan, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. Okay, let's see how steamy. So here's the appétit. This is what the milk does. You know, nice and brown, and that's thanks to the sugars in the milk. And one appétit. All right, let's check the others. Here comes the loaf. And as you can tell, the yeast certainly did its job. I mean, way to go. This is how much this thing rose. Meanwhile, let's go check the third one. So I had to rearrange it a little, but here comes the appétit as a crown. And you can see in the skillet, it gets a lot crunchier. So let's listen to what the crown has to say. So we have ourselves another puree bread here. If you listen to this, the purring happens because when it is crunchy and the bread starts cooling down, then it contracts. And because it's crunchy, well, it starts cracking. So this one is purring a lot. This one purred a little bit, and this one did not purr. Why? Because this one was baked at a fairly low temperature for the size of the thing. This was baked in a cast iron skillet, so it got a lot hotter in there, even though the oven was at the same temperature. And this one here got painted with milk and got this little crusty, sugary, caramelized coating on the outside. So, exact same dough, the intent, 2 mistakes, 3 very different breads. This was the loaf pan that we wanted to do, and these were our 2 accidents. Pretty good, eh? And this is exactly why cooking can be so much fun. We wanted to make this. We had too much yeast, then we put too much flour, then too much water, then too much flour, then we had too much dough, so we made 2 other loaves. And we had fun in the process. Well, how did it come out? Let's take a look at this one. So a nice sandwich bread. We have little kids at home and they have a hard time chewing. Their teeth aren't fully developed yet. So this is a really nice bread for them, and it's quick. Now, let's see what the appétit looks like. Let's break it right in the middle here. And this one is great because you can just break it off and you can see how it is, and then you can dip it in soup, hummus, you can make little sandwiches, or you can just dip it in olive oil and herbs, and it's just really nice. Before I go to the crown, you can see it's still there's a little crunch, but it's still soft. This one is overall very soft, as you can tell. Very friendly with little teeth. And this is the one where we put in the oats. So let's have a look at this one. Let's break it open. Nice crumb. Let's put this down. Break this one off. And you might be able to see the little oats in there. And again, you can use it and just very nice. And quick. Doesn't get much quicker than that with homemade bread. Bon appétit. And now I'm slowly in the dark. All right, let's fix that. Boo. Okay. This one going. Now where did the scissors go?